Extra time in the World Cup final. Argentina and Spain locked at 1 goal each, 110 minutes in. And then, in the space of 4 minutes, a substitution, a touch, and a finish ended the longest wait in Spanish football. The bench emptied before the ball hit the net. Tonight, Spain are champions of the world. This is the story of the team that ended the wait. The kid who took the torch, the machine that never blinked, and the forgotten man who finished it. 16 years. That is how long it had been since Iniesta's goal in Johannesburg, since the golden generation turned Spain into the standard every nation measured itself against. 16 years of almosts. A team that ruled Europe in 2024, but had not touched the World Cup since the empire fell. Getting here broke nerves nobody talks about now. A semi-final that went the distance, decided on the finest of margins. A team that refused to blink when the tournament tried to send it home. On July the 19th, in front of the world, that ended. When the whistle blew, Unai Simon sank to his knees in his own box. Rodri stood still in the center circle, arms out, like a man letting rain hit him after a drought. And on the touchline, Luis de la Fuente, the quiet manager nobody wanted, the one mocked when he took the job, closed his eyes and let 30 years of work land on his shoulders. Spain did not just win a trophy, they closed a circle. And the way they did it, that is the part nobody will forget. Because on one side of that pitch stood Lionel Messi, 39 years old, the greatest to ever do it, chasing one last miracle in his final World Cup. And on the other side stood a 19-year-old from Rocafonda who grew up with posters of him on the wall, Lamine Yamal. 6 days before the final, Yamal turned 19. He had already broken Messi's records for the youngest to debut, the youngest to score, the youngest to carry a nation's imagination. All tournament long, one question followed him. Is he ready to take the game from its king? For 120 minutes, the two of them traded the answer back and forth. Messi bent the game the way only he can. One pass in the first half nobody else on earth sees. One goal that made time roll backwards. Spain struck first. Nico Williams, cutting in from the left, a finish that sent half the stadium into red and gold. For a moment, it looked done. And then Messi reminded everyone why they feared him. One moment of magic, Argentina level, 39 years old and still bending finals to his will. But Yamal answered, running at defenders like the future, refusing to wait its turn, winning the free kick that dragged Spain back level. When it was over, Messi walked to the boy and embraced him. No cameras needed a translation. The torch did not drop. It was handed. But a torch only burns if something carries it. And around that kid stood the most complete team on the planet. Rodri, the Ballon d'Or winner who plays midfield like a chess engine. Pedri, who turned the middle of a World Cup final into a training exercise, receiving the ball in spaces that should not exist. Nico Williams on the left, pure chaos to Yamal's precision, the blade that cut Argentina open for Spain's first goal. Mikel Oyarzabal, the man who won the Euro final 2 years ago, pressing like a debutante with a point to prove. And behind them all, Unai Simon, who made the save of the tournament in the semi-final, and 2 more like it in the final. And a backline that barely broke a sweat. Marc Cucurella flying up the left, Robin Lenormand and Danny Vivian swallowing everything Argentina threw, a defense that conceded almost nothing all tournament. This is what made Spain different. No galácticos, no egos to manage. De la Fuente built a team where the system is the star, and the bench went deep. Dani Olmo, a starter for most nations, here just another option. Depth most champions can only dream of. The same belief that carried them through a group stage where tiny Cape Verde held them to a draw and the world called it a crisis. It was not a crisis. It was a team pacing itself for the nights that matter. And on the biggest night of all, the machine did everything right except score the winner. Because the winner did not belong to the machine. It belonged to a man who had spent years learning how to wait. Ferran Torres.
If you had told Spanish football 5 years ago that he would decide a World Cup final, half the country would have laughed. The Valencia Academy kid whose road bent through Manchester and back to Barcelona. Doubted, benched and written off before he turned 25. But something changed in Barcelona. Instead of fighting the bench, Ferran turned it into a weapon. They call him El Tiburón, the shark. Because when he smells one chance, one moment of blood in the water, he does not miss. In the 2025 Copa del Rey final, he came off the bench and scored against Real Madrid. In the league run that followed, goal after goal arrived in the final half hour from a man who started the game in a tracksuit. De la Fuente saw it. He did not bring Ferran to the World Cup to start, he brought him to finish. In the 110th minute, with Argentina's legs going and the game stretched like a rope about to snap, Spain sent on the shark. 4 minutes later, the ball broke once inside the box. One touch to set it, one to end 16 years. The net moved, the bench dissolved, and Ferran Torres, the substitute, the afterthought, the man who learned to wait, had won the World Cup. So look at this team now. The trophy in Yamal's hands, 19. Pedri, 23. Nico Williams, 24. Rodri, the oldest pillar, just entering his prime. The 2010 generation needed a decade to build what this group already has. And unlike 2010, this is not an ending. It is an opening. The Euro champions are now world champions. And the core of this side will attack the next World Cup younger than most teams attack their first. Somewhere in Rocafonda, a kid is putting a poster of Lamine Yamal on the wall, the way Yamal once did with Messi. Somewhere in Foyos, they are chanting the name of the boy they once sold. Back home, a country poured into the streets. From Madrid to Bilbao to Valencia, a nation that had waited half a generation finally had its night again. And somewhere in Madrid tonight, the trophy that waited 16 years is being passed from hand to hand, player to player, generation to generation. Because that is what this final was. Not a coronation, a handover. The torch has passed, and it is burning brighter than it has in a very long time. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Beyond the Boots for more. The boots tell the story. We just follow the footsteps.